Play the popular Coast to Coast Pick 5 and the new Sunset Pick 6, featuring the last three races from
Gulfstream Park, Santa Anita Park, a $1 minimum.
retail only wagers. Coast to Coast Pick 5 and Sunset Pick 6 every Friday through Sunday.
We love these Coast to Coast Pick 5s and Sunset 6 wagers. What's great about the Coast to Coast Pick 5, you can play it every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Gulfstream Park in Santa Anita. Dollar-based minimum wager, 15% takeout, and no consolation, so it carries over if nobody hits it. No CAW play. So it's retail only. You're not getting a lot of those big computer players and those big teams that can come in and really shift the payouts and wagers. Doesn't happen. And what's nice is they draw these sequences early in the week, gives us a chance to look at them. We're going to take a look at the Saturday Coast to Coast Pick 5 for February the 21st. The we is me, Gino Bacola, alongside my good friend Barry Spears, the sniper. Barry, buddy, how's everything going on your end?
Hanging in there, man. I'm glad the weather's warming up, and that means like the Derby trail's warming up and Gulfstream's getting better. And, it's just a great time of year to be a horse player, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of a quiet week in the overall landscape of like big Derby preps and big stakes races. There is one on Turfway Park Saturday night that'll get you some Kentucky Derby points. But starting next weekend is when things really will pick up. And then it's like every single weekend we have big races. Next weekend we have the Gotham and some other stakes at Aqueduct. We've got action at Gulfstream Park with the Fountain of Youth and a bunch of stakes races there. Then on March the 1st, it's Oaklawn Park. They've got the Grade 2 Rebel and a couple stakes races there. Then we flip to the next week, March the 7th. I just got some news that Barry the Sniper Spears is going to be coming out here to Southern California for San Felipe, the Big Cap, the Kilroe Mile, and the Beholder Mile. That's a huge day at Santa Anita. It's also Tampa Bay Derby Day that day, so that's a big day. Then you move to the following week, and I believe that is the NHC weekend where I'm going to be in Vegas. We have big racing at Colonial in Gulfstream Park, and then we move into the Louisiana Derby, March 21st, like a month from this week. It's like the last round of preps. So basically every weekend now, big stuff happening. And this weekend, we're going to be focusing in on the Coast to Coast, Gulfstream Park, and Santa Anita. So we'll be looking at Gulfstream races 9 and 11, and then Santa Anita races 3, 5, and 7. We're all odds. So all odd races, and believe we have one turf race at Gulfstream, a synthetic race at Gulfstream, and then all 3 turf races at Santa Anita. So, yeah, we will be rocking and rolling. Barry, my friend, you ready to rock and roll? I was having a little technical difficulty. If the stream is a little like off today, I'm going to make sure we see if we can clean it up. StreamYard's been having some issues. So we're going to go and start at Gulfstream Park, race number 9. Do I have you, Barry? Can you hear me? Yeah, we're going to work on getting the sniper in. Okay, so great in modern days with technology, but I think we're good to go, ready to rock and roll. Barry, we're going to start at Gulfstream, race number 9. And I was saying, I believe we have a lot of turf in this sequence, right? We've got one turf race and a synthetic race at Gulfstream, and then all turf over at Santa Anita.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, this is a good time of year for something like this because a lot of the times, you get these horses that are just kind of starting out their year. And these turf races seem to be quite interesting. They yield a lot of prizes, especially the ones out west. They seem to be a lot more competitive than what we'll see at Gulfstream. But all great races, honestly. I think this is a really tough sequence.
Now, keep in mind, we're recording this on Thursday, and it has been raining in Southern California most of the week. But the forecast is supposed to be rain Thursday, nothing Friday. So by Saturday, I think we should be fine. And if you're paying attention and you're playing, because they have like a pick 6 carryover on Saturday at Santa Anita, or on Friday at Santa Anita, they carded all dirt, which was really smart because they knew it was going to be raining this week. So the Friday card at Santa Anita in like the pick 6 is all going to be dirt races. So hopefully there shouldn't be a lot of changes if you're looking at that. We're going to look at Saturday, Gulfstream and Santa Anita. One more time, races 9 and 11 at Gulfstream Park. We start around 4:20 p.m. Eastern time. Smoke them if you got them, Barry. Race 9 at Gulfstream Park, mile and a 16th on the turf course. We have a first level allowance here. I thought this was a not easy way to start the sequence as we roll through horses that I feel like will take some support in here. You've got towards the outside, the 9 Pretty Lavish, who comes off of a good third place finish last time out. You've got the 11 Maggie Go, who is a real wild card because she has obvious ability. She's a Group 2 winner in Argentina before coming over to the U.S. She's lightly raced, but in her races in the U.S., 3 of them, she's only really fired in one of those 3 races. And that was back in June of 2025. So her last 2 races where she was pretty short prices in both of them, she just didn't really fire in either of those races, Barry. And then they were followed like August 8th, didn't fire, followed by a few months off. Back on December 11th, doesn't really fire, followed by a few months off. We know her good race would probably beat this group, but it's sort of hard and tough, right? It's just hard to trust if we're going to get that tip-top race from her.
Yeah, I mean, A, this horse draws the outside, the way outside, and B, what is this Chad Brown horse doing in a race like this? You got to question both of those things going into this race. I tend to fade a horse like this, especially, when it's kind of suspicious that this horse is in this race, to be honest.
And there's even a little gap in the works, it looks like, from January 19th till February 7th. That's probably 2 works missed. There'll probably be a January 26th work and then like a February 1st work in there. So I don't know, almost like what you're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Did they have like a bigger race picked out and then something went amiss? And now they're like, okay, let's go in maybe a softer spot here. But I just don't love it,
No,
especially for a short price.
Can't.
From way out wide for a very short price. And if you take her out, it's very competitive, the rest of the field, right? Like she's the one that you got to kind of start with and figure out what you want to do with, because if you remove her from the field and you say, okay, I don't really love her or I'm trying to beat her, then the difference between a lot of these fillies is not much.
Yeah, no, it's very competitive once you get around that horse. And even that horse kind of looks similar to everybody else.
That's the thing too. She's not like, she's got the one race where her figure is good in the Eatontown. It's not like she towers over this field. So yeah, I mean, it's what's going to be a very, very short price. It sounds like you and I are fine looking elsewhere and using a few others in here. So who do you want to start with?
Well, looking at this race top to bottom and going through it several times, it's hard to see where the pace is going to come from.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess the 6 Lady Catherine will be on stretch out, would probably be forwardly placed, but I don't really have confidence in that horse going wire to wire. But there's a version of this race where that horse just gets away and keeps running, but you got to get your price. That being said, I kind of think that the 9 Pretty Lavish might have a little bit of an edge here. I think they should have won last time.
Yep.
Didn't get the greatest of trips. Jose Ortiz kind of got pinned on the inside. The horse was trying to kind of go a little bit, and they were just behind a wall of horses the whole time. They checked a few times in the backstretch, got open late and came running, was better than the favorite that day, who is the 10 La Quintera. And I thought they were better that day, and I still think.
I lost you for a sec. I think you went muted.
Yeah, it's really one of those things where I think Pretty Lavish might get the best trip behind a horse like the 6 Lady Catherine, but it's really, really tough. I mean, this is a really tough race. I think they're going to have to get involved early. A lot of things kind of have to come and play. I just wouldn't take too short of a price on that horse either.
The one I want to mention is the 8 Aphrodita. So this horse was a Group 1 winner in Mexico and comes over to the US trying to figure out where she fits, because we don't know a lot of times when these horses come from different countries how those races are going to stack up over here. Sometimes they're fine, they're at similar levels. A lot of times when you come from a place like Mexico, that racing graded stakes group stakes company isn't close to our group stakes company. So you got to kind of figure out where these horses fit. And she races on November the 28th at Churchill. Kind of gets involved a little bit early on in the race and then fades. Comes back on December the 21st. And that's not a bad race at all at Gulfstream Park. That's the second time in the country, taking a nice step forward. That type of effort would be really competitive here. That's against Better. That fourth only beaten a couple lengths behind Silver Moonlight. Following that, January the 18th, she goes on the synthetic here at Gulfstream Park. And it doesn't really say it a whole lot in the running lines, but she's a 3 in this race. She's kind of got sneaky, natural early speed. I think a lot more than most horses in this field. So look, she's the 3. She's close up early. And then 3 horses to her outside want to go. So she takes back a little bit. Then she gets bumped around. She gets checked. And you can see she's in the red with the white polka dots. All of a sudden, instead of being like close up, in a minute, she's going to be 7th in here. She gets steadied back here. And now all of a sudden she gets pushed behind the 2. And it's like, what, how did that just happen? She was way closer than that early on. So I'm going to put a line just right through this race because she got really shuffled back. She lost position. It was on the synthetic, and now she's going to come back to the turf. And oh, by the way, the horse who won that race, Expansive Queen, just came back last week in the Alstall Memorial and won pretty nicely at Fairgrounds and has now won 3 out of 4 and will be up in against Graded Stakes company next. So I think Barry, can kind of just be in a good spot. If she breaks like she did last time out, and there aren't 3 or 4 other horses to her outside that are quicker and forces her to take back. In her first 2 races in the U.S. against tougher, she was really close. This is not that, it's a competitive race, but it's not that strong of a race, right? Like
Yes,
nobody,
that's a good description.
nobody scares you. There's no monsters. Like anyone can win or not run well, but there's no real 1 horse or 2 horses that you're like, yeah, they're too tough for them to compete with.
Well, yeah, because you can probably find 1 or 2 knocks on each of these horses. Like,
Every one
for
of them.
example, Aphrodite, I do kind of like a little bit, but this horse doesn't seem to be a turf horse. You know, was 20 to 1 or better in each race here in the States, 2 on turf and 1 on synthetic.
And the success in Mexico came, on
the dirt,
muddy track, off tracks, right? So
that's a question mark there. I mean, there's a lot of question marks in this race, and I only think a few horses really have a shot. I would give the 7 Mystic Sea a chance. Sure.
Another one who could just hit a good trip too, right?
Well, the horse that they lost to, Phoenix of Wit, was pretty good over. It's a Joe Orsino horse that won over at Tampa, and that was a pretty decent race. I actually had an interest in that race because I did have Phoenix of Wit, but I was afraid because I didn't have Mystic Sea, and this horse ran pretty good at 4 to 1 that day. I think that was kind of the race to get this horse going for this year. After that synthetic win, which was kind of an easy win there. And I think this horse could get to this spot, which isn't all that strong. I think they might have a chance, especially getting Go-To Rider and Junior on there. They might be able to sit a good trip if they can get involved early. I wouldn't want to see like a 1-run close kind of deal, but I think this horse has some positional speed.
1 or 2 others to mention in here. The 3, another one that just kind of looks like a shug horse, just been very patient with this horse, didn't have them completely cranked up and ready, took a few starts on the dirt to build up fitness, but then when flipping over to the grass races are all good. And this horse's dam was solid. This is all long on the turf too. When you see the pedigree here, Limited Liability is a millionaire who's multiple graded stakes place and is long on the turf. Protective Custody, same thing, long on the turf. So the solid pedigree, and the horse has a right, I think, to be decent. And again, nobody scares me in this race. So just because her figures are a little bit light, she's coming in from Laurel and Colonial. And sometimes you just have lighter figures at those tracks because they're not as, the races aren't quite as fast. You don't have some of the more dominant horses in those races. So the figures come up a little bit lighter. And then one bust out long shot. I mean, you don't have to go that far back, Barry, to Sione Flash having some like races that would be competitive here. Last year in September and October at Belmont at Aqueduct, problem is they're a little bit longer. So I do wonder if this horse just wants to go a bit longer. But I mean, we're talking about this race being pretty wide open, you only have to go 2 turf starts back to this horse being pretty competitive. I just wonder if she's going to be too far out of it early on. But I don't think she's completely hopeless at 30-1 in a really strange race to start the coast to coast.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't discount anybody, to be honest with you. This race could go a lot of different ways. It's going to be difficult to try to narrow this one down, especially if you're going to try to go deeper later, but we'll see how that works.
Okay, we're going to head on over to Santa Anita, and we're going to take a look at race number 3 at Santa Anita. So, Barry, we get to Santa Anita's 3rd race. This one is a mile on the turf. We've got a first level allowance, optional 50 claimer in this one. And we'll take a look at some of the horses that could be, I think I went back to Gulfstream Park. We'll take a look at some of the horses that could be getting some good support there in this one. So I think you want to start with one of the speed horses that could be the 3 Claire Austin stretching out. But I'm curious if this horse even runs. That's why I wanted to start there. They just ran on February 15th. So this would be 6 days back. Might be an instance where this horse was entered kind of early. So just keep in mind, because stretching out, I don't know if she could win, but she'd certainly be a part of the early speed in here going a little bit longer. To the outside, the 9 and 10, I think will both be horses that take some support. And the presence of the 3 Claire Austin would definitely impact a horse like the 9, Delightful Laura, who's also pretty quick. And now coming into the Peter Urton barn, we see some of these John Sheriff's runners moving into different barns. Sad news that we found out just a few days back that John Sheriff's trainer of Zenyatta, Giacomo, and some great runners through the years has just passed. So we'll see his horses Barry going in different directions. Delightful Laura has been in good form, but lots of runner-up efforts. We can see, 3 straight where she's run well, but she couldn't seal the deal after showing early speed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to go. It looks like there is quite a bit of speed in here. I kind of hope Claire Austin does get in for that reason alone, to make sure that this pace is solid up front. I think, I might want to single a horse in here.
Okay.
In the 4 Miss Artois.
I like this.
This horse was wide the last 4 trips.
Look at the posts, yeah.
And ran pretty good and improved. It looks like in a lot of those races were on 2 less than firm tracks the last time. Gets a better post position this time, should sit a great trip, and will probably be most of that 6-1. If you're looking to kind of go away from favorites in a race that seems like it's a little all over the place, like that last one at Gulfstream, I might be looking to single that horse. I think the numbers fit. This horse should get a really good trip. And the other horse that kind of seems to be in that same mode is the 1 Lila.
Sure, that's where I was going to go
just
next.
hasn't run close up recently, but this little class relief might make all the difference. But I just think the 1 post is really, really tough for this kind of horse. So I would gravitate more towards the 4 than the 1 here.
Lila is the 7 in this race that we're going to take a look at right now. This was the last time she raced. This was on October the 30th. And she is about 7th, 8th here on the inside. She's about 5 or 6 lengths off. And she's just not going to have much room at all. And she's got nowhere to go. She's right up against the rail. She finally gets some room late, and she ends up closing well for 4th. But if you just kind of watch her race here, she's had legitimate trouble now for 3 races in a row. But so you can be forgiving, and maybe she's the type, and she might be the type of horse, Barry, who just like, she's only going to win not all that often because of her running style. She also might be the type of horse who just like finds trouble a lot, right? One of those two things. So, like right here, you can see she's traveling well. She's just got nowhere to go. Like, she's buried. They can't ask her for a run anywhere. She can't get to the outside because the 4's got her pinned in, and the 3 in front of her is kind of backing up into her. So she's just sort of at the mercy of what the horses around her are doing. She's got to back up out of there now. She gets steadied, and she's just in a bad spot. And that's kind of been what's happened to her last few races. And with the rail draw, that'll probably be like right here. She's trying to find where to go, right? She can't go outside. She got bumped around. Now she gets a little bit of room, and she'll try to shoot through. It's just much too late for her at this point because these top horses have already separated. But I thought she ran pretty well when
Trust me, I had that horse for a $5 pick 3 here and came up short. Yep. I mean, I thought she was going to get by, but the one just had way of an easier trip up front. And I thought Lila ran a really bang up race and was waiting a better back, but she ends up in this race on the rail again. And then with Miss Artois, who I think is just a better horse in general, it's going to be tough for her, but I think she's going to be in the picture somewhere. She's going to be there. It's just a matter of where she's going to be.
So Barry gives you a 6-1 shot, Miss Artois, to start. I give you Lila at 8-1. And then towards the outside, I mean, Delightful Laura, we mentioned to start, but she just does seem one-dimensional. And it feels like at the very least, she's going to have to deal with, a horse like Preem. And we mentioned Clara Austin. If she's in here stretching out, going deep is also quick. So it's not just the presence of the 3. There are 2, maybe even 3 others who can sit close, who can make her have to work early on. If that is the case, it probably helps a horse also like the 10 Resolve, who ran really well last time out. She's just one of those horses at this point that you have a hard time trusting on the win end because we've seen the same sort of thing. She dropped out of the Del Mar Oaks earlier in the year and ran a really good 3rd out of Graded Stakes Company. When she stepped back up into Graded Stakes Company, she was a little tough, and then she dropped out of it. She ran really well last time out on January the 24th. So, she's one that I don't want to take a short price on, but she definitely will benefit if they go quick early on, and she will come running. That's the 10 Resolve. Barry, this might be a spot where you get kind of aggressive and try to single Miss Artois.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to fade favorites in this race. I thought the 7 might have a look too. Ran some good races last year, and came off the bench on January 31st and ran pretty decent. Was out wide the whole way and didn't really get a good run at it. I think they're going to be better this time, and the price will probably be right. I think that 6-1 is probably going to be higher than that.
You just go through her last 4 races. She lost in the Grade 2 John C. Maybe to Gimme Another. She was in a stakes race behind Vibes. Then she lost back-to-back races to Princessa Moche, who's now a graded stakes winner. And I mean, those last 4 races are all against better than this. So you might look real quick and see like 0 for 8 on the Santa Anita turf, but she can win on the grass, and her races have been against decidedly better in her last 4. So I don't think it's a Santa Anita thing as much as just she's probably been a little over her head. Yeah. In a lot of spots. And this is a good spot for her too. If you're spreading out and you're not using the short prices, I'm absolutely going to throw in a horse like Baltic Fire. So 3rd race at Santa Anita, leg 2 of the Coast to Coast Pick 5 sequence. We head back over, Barry, to Gulfstream Park. We're going to take a look at Gulfstream Park race number 11 for the middle point of the sequence. And this 11th race is on the synthetic. We don't get a lot of the synthetic races in, the Coast to Coast and Sunset 6 all that often, but I think they put it in here because it's a pretty competitive race too, right? You can just see based on the morning line odds as you scroll through the field, you've got a lot of horses that are in the, under 10-1 range, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1 ish. So I didn't have the strongest opinion, but there are a couple I wanted to mention. Like I think a horse like the 3, when
Yes.
just is in good form right now. This horse can sit a nice trip, can come running. Katie Davis has actually been riding very well at Gulfstream Park recently, and it just takes a little while to get into the right barns and get figured out. Now she's got a couple live mounts. She's got some good connections. Small barn here that's been winning with this horse and a couple others recently. So yeah, I think this is one that can come closing. Barry, seemed like one that you might throw in as well.
Absolutely, yeah. One thing I've noticed about the synthetic down at Gulfstream is when it's warm, it gets a little loose, and horses on the front end tend to not win. And I think that it's supposed to be unseasonably warm there on Saturday, close to mid 80s to upper 80s, which is a little bit warm. But the other thing that I noticed that horses that win on this synthetic tend to repeat and at different class levels.
Agreed.
It really, in some ways, it doesn't even matter what class level they win at, as long as they show an affinity for that strip. And I think the 3 really does. I mean, those last 2 races were really tough. As far as the way that horse won going away, I think they fit well in this race as well. There's enough speed. The pace should be honest up front, and they're going to have a good target to run at. There's really, it's kind of interesting that there's not any gaudy kind of speed figures or anything in this race. I know it's a little lower level, but sometimes these horses go up and down. But there isn't anything like that. Nobody that could potentially bottom out this field. And I think that puts that horse in the mix, especially at that 10-1 price.
Couple others that are worth mentioning here. A real wild card is this 9-year-old mare, the 9 Midnight Bella, because she's just been facing pretty tough company in comparison for a while. And so many of her recent races have been on the grass, but she's certainly capable on the synthetic. The blinks are going to come off for her. She hasn't raced since August at Hawthorne, but like it's not like you're saying, it's not a race where there's anyone in here that's like a really sharp synthetic horse either that's rattled off a bunch of great races with big speed figures. So, if she's the right type of price, I could include her. You can just see it's been a while since her last victory. You got to go back a few years to when she's winning. I think in 2023 was the last victory for her, of June of 2023. So, that was on the synthetic here at Gulfstream Park. We know she's capable.
I was going to say, arguably her better races have been on the synthetic in general anyway. So I think this move is probably okay. I'm not sure what to make of the blinkers off. But I mean, it can't help or hurt. I mean, this horse is kind of an old pro anyway, so I really don't think that's going to make too much of a difference either way. But I thought the 1 might merit a second look. I just don't like the post position, but this horse seems to be one of the better closers. And if Junior can get good position instead of just conceding and going back to dead last, I think they might have a decent shot if they can shake loose and kind of get out and around horses. But it's still a tough post to do that. I would definitely demand a price in a race like this.
You also wanted to mention a horse I'm probably going to throw in is the 5 Lois Len. I think if anyone has an opportunity of being the quickest of the speeds, it's probably her. You can see she's much better synthetic than turf. She hasn't been a good turf horse really. And recently she's been up at Woodbine, but this is a good claiming barn who knows horses like this, where they fit at Woodbine and at Gulfstream. She's got a lot of synthetic experience too, so surface is not a problem from her.
Need a little luck, that barn. They've been close a lot.
They do, right? They deserve a few things to go their way, right? And she what's nice is she'll be in the mix. She's probably the quickest of the quick. And so if some of these older veterans or some of these kind of plotter grinder horses are a little slow, I think I want to have her on the ticket just in case she can sneak away. The other, at least worth mentioning, is in good form. I didn't know what to do with her, is the 10, one of one. She's run 3 good races in a row, right? I mean, at all pretty similar levels. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her run really well in here. I'm just a little worried about her getting hooked wide because I don't know if she's quick enough to clear. I don't really know if she wants to grab a hold and take back and be like 4 lengths off this group. So if she wants to sit the trip that she may need, I feel like she could get hooked a little wide.
Yeah, I felt the same way, but she definitely deserves a look. I know she had
Absolutely.
the voided claim, then laid off, came back pretty well. I think she's going to probably run a really decent race. It's just the post is a little bit tough. I would demand a little bit more than that 5-1 myself
And
personally.
I agree what you were saying. Like, I like seeing the race after the voided claim. Okay, they're fine. Came back, ran pretty well. After that, they gave her some time off. So I think this 6-year-old mare is fine. I think she'll run well. Will it be good enough from that outside draw? Barry and I take a look at a couple horses in here. We both like the 3. You know when you know who should just get a nice trip. It is in really good form. Barry points out the 1, Compass Rises, as a horse to include. I went over to the 9, the real wild card, the old 9-year-old Midnight Bella. I'll also throw in the 5, Lois Len, for you Superman fans out there. So that's the Gulfstream portion of the Coast to Coast pick 5. Barry, let's head on over to Santa Anita and finish up there with the last 2 legs of the sequence at Santa Anita. So we're going to race number 5 here. We're going to take a look at a 6.5 furlong turf race, but this one is not down the hill. So keep that in mind. This is just the flat 6.5 furlongs at Santa Anita. Barry, in this one, think towards the inside couple of horses that we want to look at. We've got the 2 Central Dispatch, who came off a long layoff on January the 15th, showed speed before fading. So he actually finished behind Tiger Horn and Doncic, who ran 2nd and 3rd in that race. But you could probably make more of a legitimate excuse for Central Dispatch, who had been off for more than a year coming into that race and just kind of faded like a horse who needed it. So any of the 3 inside horses wouldn't be crazy surprise in a race like this. Code Dwello's very quick. Imagine this horse wants to be forward and in the mix throughout. And then towards the outside, you have the 11, Harson, who I thought was a little bit interesting. I'll talk to a bit about this one a bit in a moment. Who do you want to start with here?
I'll start with the 2, Central Dispatch. I
Sure.
mean, as far as the record goes and how this horse is coming in the race, probably the horse to beat, and will probably, I think, be the favorite.
I agree.
But isn't a lock by any means. I mean, this horse was kind of inconsistent before the layoff. I would gather that kind of would continue. I mean, the horse ran okay first time out of the box in a couple of years. I'm kind of interested to see the run more than I'm interested in betting on this horse. Tiger Horn, another horse, is, I think, just overmatched, just a little older, doesn't like to finish races off. Same thing with Doncic, loves to finish second, 8 seconds out of 27 starts. It's quite a bit. So that leaves me with the 6, Pioneer Prince. I know this horse hasn't been out since September 1st, 2024, but I find the choice of jockey here by Doug O'Neill very, very interesting. I don't see too many horses that Doug O'Neill puts out there that Edmund Maldonado rides that doesn't get to the lead or be really forwardly placed. And I think that's a real good spot because you have a horse in Code Duello who probably doesn't fit very much here and has a lot of contention with the pace up front. Pioneer Prince last seen going 1 mile and 3/8. The cutback, they're probably not going to be on the front end, or at least not on the engine. I think they sit a great trip. This race, there isn't much to beat, and I think they have a really good shot. The 11 is the other horse that kind of piqued my interest. I like the way they came off the bench from that layoff from November 8th to January 16th. But beyond that, it's tough to get to any other of these horses.
Pioneer Prince broke the maiden going 6.5 furlongs, sitting the kind of trip that you're hoping for.
Yeah.
right? Sitting like third, just about within a length or two, and then able to finish there. And that was also off of not this type of a layoff, but that was off of a layoff of like 4 or 5 months.
Seems to be
So,
training well too. You see those synthetic
yep.
workouts; those are pretty decent. I know there wasn't a ton of horses that ran, but just the fact that that horse is out there bouncing around on the synthetic gives me the idea that this horse might be fit and ready.
Yeah. The 11 was who you were kind of getting to, and I wanted to point out because I think you can look at his races and they really make sense too. The last out race was chasing Code Dwello in a race where Code Dwello was the lone speed. But now we're pointing out that Code Dwello will likely have to be dealing with, I mean, even a horse like Hacking It Up, but the 2 Central Dispatch, who's also pretty quick in here. So I don't think it's going to be as good of a situation for Code Dwello. I think it will be better for Harsin. Keep in mind the 9, Mucho Del Oro, also is quick too. He can show some speed, this old 8-year-old. So now should just be a much better race setup for this horse to get some pace to run at, to finish. This horse can win at 5 furlong. So it's not a distance thing. It's just a pace thing. They just need some pace to chase. And I think we'll get it here. So the 11's absolutely in the mix for me. You pointed out the 2. Yeah, Luca's tough to trust on the win end here, right? Because he likes to run second a lot. He does fit with this group. He's just a horse who I don't want to take a short price. If he's 4 or 5 to 1, he probably makes his way onto one of my tickets where I
think he's going to get bet down.
Yeah, you're right.
Just attracting Juan Hernandez.
Yeah.
In this race, it seems like it's kind of light, and people will gravitate to basically the 2 and the 3.
Yeah, no, I don't, and that's why I have him in like the 3rd and 4th spot because I just don't love him. And if he does get bet, I prefer horses like we talked about, the 11. You were hitting on the 6. We pointed out the 2, who certainly is the horse to beat in here and is deserving to be that way, but will probably be a little shorter than what we want for horses on the win end. I think for the most part, those are the horses that are on the radar for me. I think it's going to be a lot of 2, 11, 6, and then the 3 is the horse who I'm going to have in some way, shape, or form. Because what I like about that, I think we've got the speed kind of taken care of with the 2 Central Dispatch. I think we'll be sitting close with the 6 Pioneer Prince. If they go quick early and you need a horse to come from off of it, that's where the 11 could come into play. So you kind of have, I think with those 3 horses, I kind of have the race shape set pretty well by having, I think, a horse who could be in different spots however it played out. So I'll probably try to get through them there, Barry. Anyone else in here you want to hit on?
No, I think, I would be more apt to go like 2, 6, and 11, possibly the 3, depending on the price. But I think the 3 is probably going to get bet a lot. The 2 and the 3 are probably going to be close in the wagering.
Let's move to the wishing well. Race number 7 is going to close out this Coast to Coast Pick 5 sequence on Saturday, February the 21st. Remember, just play it on your ADW. It'll come up as Coast to Coast Pick 5. It's a $1-based wager, no CAW wagering, free daily racing form, past performances. I'm going to place them right in the link below. So if you just click on that link, it'll take you right to the free PPs for the Saturday Coast to Coast. This one, Barry, is another turf sprint. It's the flat 6 furlongs, though. It's not down the hill. We have the number 6, Gratefully, who is 4 for 4 and undefeated. And she won her first 2 races on sloppy and muddy tracks, so races that were supposed to be on turf but taken off. Then her next 2 wins were on the turf. And what was nice about the January race, January 8th at Santa Anita, she showed us that she can sit off the pace a little bit. Her first couple races were pretty much right on the lead. And now we know, okay, if somebody else goes, she's fine sitting off a couple lengths and she can move to the front end. But this, I think, will definitely be the toughest field that she's faced because you have the same horse that she beat, I'm About to Go, but some other pretty tough horses in here, and some others that are fast and have other speed. I think both the 7 and the 8, Navy Bell and Egyptian Mao, they're interesting, dropping out of the Las Ciénegas where they faced Queen Maxima and Princess Moche, who would both be pretty tough in a spot like this. The wild card is the 4, Saratoga Special, who comes over from York last time out. She finished fourth in a field of 19. It was a pretty good effort too. Like, she was mid pack. She was about 4 lengths off. She found some room in between horses, and she beats 14 horses in that race. And if you watch her workouts on First.tv on February the 7th, she crushed a couple others that she was working with. So I think she's nice and handy, but basically her whole career has been at 5 furlongs. So she'll have to show she can get a little farther here at 6. Those are some of the horses I started with, and I think will take some money in here. Who do you want to use? Who would you like to be alive to try to close with?
Well, Gratefully seems to be head and shoulders above these horses, and it's going to be hard to get around him or her in this race. I mean, her last 2 are probably the best 2 races on the page for anybody, and she should get a great trip. If I was the trainer or the connections, I would just tell them to go. There's really only one horse to beat, in my opinion, and that would be the 9 Jungle Peace. If they get in front of that horse, they can control the pace and win this race. Now, if they hook up, I would give the 3 I'm about to go a shot.
That was an impressive effort last time out. It really was.
It seems like they figured out how to ride this horse finally.
Yes, I agree.
And it came basically after the layoff, because before they went on that layoff after the October 25th race, it seemed like they understood that this horse was probably better served coming slightly off the pace instead of on the engine, and it served that horse a lot better. And I wouldn't take it as a negative with Demura leaving to go to Mandela. He's kind of been riding for Mandela.
Yeah, Mandela and Powell. I know it's like he was going to pick. Those are the 2 barns he rides a lot for, these 2. But right. Yeah, I don't. It's one of those things where I don't.
This is 2 horses in one guy. That's really
right. Exactly right. He's going to ride for one of these 2, and so it's like he keeps the connections there. And honestly, Mike Beer was making a case for Amarita when I previewed this race with him on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. He thinks the horse is got a little bit of a shot cutting back, like the
right. I think it's the kind of the same thing.
2 starts back.
3,
yeah, absolutely.
They weren't riding the horse, probably or running the horse where they probably were better.
Going a little longer.
They think that, because of those 2 races, the February 21st and the China Doll, I'm sure they were like, yeah, a mile is probably where it's at, and I don't think that's really the case. I think they kind of got lucky in the one they won, and then kind of fell into a field where they could be close up and just didn't finish it off. But when they cut back in the Senorita, you saw this horse just close like a freight train, and I think that'll serve this horse better. If you can get 15-1, I don't see any problem with that horse in this race, especially if the pace gets hot up front.
So I'm gonna probably go 3 deep, I think, in here. The 6, Gratefully, for sure. The horses who I want to include, the 4 is such a wild card that I want to throw her in because maybe she is really good. And she's the one that I just don't know enough about in here to where, like, I Gratefully might just be much better than this field. I'm going to give one other horse a shot because I played her a few times and I just didn't love this particular trip. Like, so Navy Bell is the 8 in the race that we're watching right here. And it doesn't look like this at all on paper. Like, she's on top right here.
Yep.
Like,
she's in front.
and I was hoping for this because I played her last time out and I was hoping for her to be very close. And then all of a sudden, like, now she's sixth, 3 lengths, 4 lengths off. Right. And Princessa Moche wins this race, or is right there on the front end with Queen Maxima. Like, those are, and Spicy Bug, look, they run 1, 2, 3. So there's no passing in this race. And that was what happened after taking back. So, like, I think she can be closer because she used to be. Like, I think she can be a little bit closer in here and not have to come from so far out of it. But I'm going to give her one more shot just because I've played her the last couple times and I didn't love the trips in either one of them. So I'll give her one more shot. Her figures, when she runs for better races, are very good.
Yes.
So I'll give Navy Bell a shot, as they all need to be on their best to beat Gratefully. Barry, my friend, that does it for our Coast to Coast. Where else can we find you this week? Are you doing horse racing happy hour with Louie? What else is on the menu for you?
Yes, SoCal Saturday. We're doing this whole card. We're going to go over the whole card
Awesome.
on Friday, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. So catch us if you can. You can always find us on YouTube and all the socials. But yeah, that's what I'm up to. Then getting ready to go down to Gulfstream next week, and then out to Santa Anita the week after that. So dance card is full right now.
Barry, busy man over the next few weeks. Check out all the content you can from him. Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out with us. Don't forget, check out the free Daily Racing Form past performances in the link below. And as we get out of here, we want to remind you about DRF Newbie. Busy times coming up. This is something to share with your friends, or if you're someone who's new to horse racing and maybe the past performances can be a little bit intimidating, check out DRF Newbie.
Think horse racing is too complicated? Think again.
And they're off.
Every pro was a newbie once. Meet DRF Newbie, the mobile tool loaded with daily racing form data and the power of DRF AI.
What a shocker.
Get the insights you need fast so you can play smarter and feel more confident. DRF Newbie, horse racing made simple. Try it free today.